All right, guys, we are down to the last two sections that you need before your Chapter 3 test. Your Chapter 3 test will be a week from today. And then that will be the last test of the semester. And then we are on to exam review. Sometime next week, I will be posting for recommending those of you who are face-to-face kids to stop by and grab your exam review. I probably will even come around to some of your classes in case you need to grab it. But I would highly recommend once I do post and say that they're available to stop by and grab one from me. All right, today we are covering section 3.5, and it has to do with scatterplots. And we're going to call them lines of best fit. Which basically the line of best fit is called a trend line. And a lot of today is just going to be vocab. There's not a lot of, I don't have any examples really to go over. Because honestly, this stuff, I probably could have just taken a picture of my notes and it would have made sense. Most of the time people say that remember this stuff from a different class. A lot of times I think science classes use this. So what a scatter plot is, we just got done talking about functions and stuff like that. And scatter plots are one way to kind of either show a function or show the data. So it's a way of recording data. And how we record this data is as points on a coordinate plane. So a scatter plot is just points. Now you do not connect these points. So don't play connect the dots. You just take a look at the points and leave it as a point, leave it as points for your scatter plot. So when you have a scatter plot, there are three different types of correlations that you could have. And this is where you probably heard about this in a science class. They talk a lot about correlations in data. If you were to take a statistics course, you hear a lot about correlations. But what a correlation is, it's how the data is all related. And like I said, there are three different types of correlations. So the first is a positive correlation. So when I say positive correlations, you're going to want to think about your slopes. And if you have a positive slope, that means that from left to right, your line goes up. So if I have a coordinate plane, because we're going to look at this in terms of a points and stuff on a coordinate plane. If I have a coordinate plane and I have a positive correlation, that means that as I'm looking at my data, if I'm like kind of analyzing my data, I notice that from left to right, my data values are going up. So as X increases, Y increases. So it kind of follows that positive slope pattern, I guess you could say. This is what this is what a positive correlation looks like. It goes up from left to right. A negative correlation is just like a negative slope, or your coordinates or your little data values there would look like a line with a negative slope. So if we take a look at a coordinate plane, and if we have a negative correlation, that means as my X values are getting bigger, as I'm going left, my Y values are going down. So see how the trend is going up. Now the trend is going down for a negative correlation. Now the last one, no correlation, that's the data that is basically skewed and it's just all over the place. So if we have a coordinate plane, the no correlation would be like literally all over the place. You can't tell if it's going up or down. The points are just all scattered about. So you either have a positive correlation with your slope going up, negative correlation with like your slope going down, no correlation with there is no correlation. There's just nothing going on between them. The last thing that you're going to look at today is something called a trend line. So with all of these, you cannot actually draw a line, but we kind of can, like if you looked at this one right here, we could kind of draw a line that looks like it kind of fits the data. And that's what a trend line is. It's called the line of best fit. It best fits the data. So it's a line that models the data. And it's not going to fit the data perfectly, but it's going to fit the data as close as possible. I'm sure that's not the technical term, but kind of makes sense to me. Now, what you're going to use today, this trend line for, is to make predictions. So we are going to be using it, or it's going to be used to make predictions. So, and that's kind of what scatter plots do. They kind of show us like what the trend is. And then we can kind of make a prediction as to, okay, if this continues to go down, we could kind of make a prediction on where things could be in a few years or whatever. So that's really all that you need for today. Head on over to GoFormative, check out your assignment, but mainly keep in mind, maybe pause this, rewind it if you need it. Keep in mind these different types of correlations. And we will be jumping back into this on Tuesday. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend, and I'll touch in again on Tuesday.